I never thought the quiet street where I taught my kid to ride a bike would turn into a battlefield, but that's exactly what happened. And the strangest part is, it wasn't gangs, it wasn't outsiders, it was our own so-called neighborhood safety officers who brought the fight to our front door. My daughter, her name's Lily, had just turned 18. She's the kind of kid who sees wrong and can't look away. She'd been live streaming lately, calling out these fake HOA enforcers who drove around in a black pickup with flashing lights glued to the roof, writing bogus tickets, handing out threats like they were candy. I told her to be careful, that not every fight needed to be fought with a phone camera rolling, but she's got my stubborn streak and her mom's sense of justice. At first, it was little things, yellow envelopes tucked into mailboxes with fines that didn't make sense, photos slipped under doors with scribbled warnings. Neighbors would grumble, then pay, just to keep the peace. But Lily? She pointed her camera at them, told her audience straight up, these guys aren't cops, they're crooks. And the views started climbing. One night, I spotted a drone hovering over our roof, tiny red light blinking like an eye in the dark. That was when I knew it wasn't just intimidation anymore. They were watching us, marking us. Old instincts kicked in. Years of SEAL training never quite leave your bones. I called up an old buddy, Jake, who'd gone into private security. Asked him to dig up whatever he could on these wannabe enforcers. What he found made my stomach knot. The man calling the shots was Ryan Cole, someone I'd once called a brother, a guy I'd trusted with my life overseas. To see his name tied to this crew felt like swallowing glass. Things escalated quick. Lily filmed them tossing another envelope onto our lawn. This one with a Polaroid of our porch, our light glowing, her tripod in the frame, and 3 words scrawled across the bottom. Next time we knock. She showed it on her stream, her voice steady, but I could see her hands trembling. That night, I kept the pistol closer than usual, not locked away but within reach. The next evening, everything boiled over. Lily was sitting on her bike in the driveway, phone in hand, talking to her viewers. I was inside rinsing a mug when I heard it. The low growl of that truck engine, louder this time, not patrolling but charging. By the time I hit the porch, the pickup had jumped the curb, headlights bearing down on her. I screamed her name, but she couldn't hear me over the roar. She tried to move, but the bike tangled her legs. The bumper clipped her hip, and before she could crawl away, the rear tire crushed both her legs. The sound still wakes me at night. Her scream, God, I've heard gunfire, I've heard explosions, but nothing cut me like that sound. I sprinted, heart pounding, and for a second I thought they'd swing back for another hit. Instead, the engine revved, and through the open window I heard it, the voice on the radio, finish it. Don't leave witnesses. Ryan's voice, clear as day. I didn't think. I just moved. Pulled the Glock from the closet, planted by the mailbox, front sight steady. One squeeze, boom, their front tire shredded, rubber flying. The truck skidded sideways into a neighbor's flower bed, stalled out. Door slammed open, and out jumped one of Ryan's guys, broad shoulders, cheap tactical vest, waving a sawed-off like he meant business. Put the gun down, he barked through a bullhorn, voice cracking. I kept mine leveled, finger off the trigger. Drop it. EMS is already coming for my daughter. You point that thing, you'll regret it. For a moment, his eyes faltered. He wasn't as sure as he wanted to be. That hesitation saved lives. Behind him, the driver cursed into the radio, begging for Ryan's next order. Neighbors peeked from windows, porch lights snapping on one by one. The whole street was awake now, watching. And then, sirens. Red and blue lights cutting through the night. The guy with the shotgun lowered it an inch, his swagger bleeding out as cruisers screeched around the corner. The driver banged the steering wheel, shouting into the static. And me? I kept my stance, gun still warm in my hand, until the cops had them in cuffs. But even then, I knew it wasn't over. Ryan wasn't in that truck. He was somewhere else, giving orders, turning my quiet suburb into his battlefield. The weeks after were a blur of hospitals and evidence, Polaroids, burned envelopes, screenshots of threats. Lily fought through surgeries and casts, braver than I'll ever be. The story went viral. Neighbors came forward with their own nightmares, reporters swarmed, and finally the law couldn't look away. When the trial came, Ryan stood there in a county jumpsuit, not the uniform I remembered, and the jury heard it all. Lily's footage, the radio commands, the threats. Guilty. 15 years. His men got 10 each. Justice, at least on paper. But here's the thing. Justice doesn't erase the limp in my daughter's walk, or the way neighbors still tense up at the sound of a truck engine. We rebuilt, we healed, but scars linger. On skin, on streets, on trust. Sometimes, on quiet nights, I catch myself staring out the window, half expecting those crooked headlights to swing around the corner again. And I wonder, was Ryan just a bad man hiding in plain sight? Or was he a soldier who couldn't let go of war, dragging it back to the only battlefield left? Our homes? I don't have the answer. What I do know is Lily never stopped speaking up. She still streams, still pushes light into shadows. And every time she does, I see the courage that almost cost her everything. And I'm reminded why I stood my ground that night. Not for orders, not for a flag, for family, and for a neighborhood that deserved better. Now I want to ask you, if it were your street, your daughter, your neighbor under threat, would you stand your ground, or would you stay quiet and hope someone else spoke up first? Drop your thoughts in the comments, share this story if it hit you, and let's talk about what justice really means when it comes knocking on our doors.